So our first story, and the Secretary General of the Trades Union Congress has spoken against any imminent wage freeze this year on the heels of tax increment. Kofi Asamoah said inefficiencies in the management of Ghana's wage bill are to blame for the country's financial woes rather than public sector workers. He was delivering TUC's goodwill message to members of the Ghana National Association of Teachers at its opening of its quadrennial conference in Accra.
Executive Director of the Center for Freedom and Accuracy, Andrew Awuni, says the ongoing fracas involving the sale of 90% shares of Merchant Bank to SNET is far from over. The substantive case is noticed to still in court, and when hearing in the court starts, a lot of mystery will unravel about the purchase agreement.
The original application that we sent to court has not been opened at all. And the purpose of bringing up the issue of my locus was to stop that application from being looked at all. So in the last 2-3 weeks, if you like, what has been going on in court was about whether a contributor has the right, the locus, the standing, the capacity to question the investment decisions of Senate. That is the only thing that has happened in the courts of our country so far. So it is not true that any court, as we speak, is investigating the Merchant Bank Fortis deal. That is not true.
Andrew Awuni also expressed disappointment at Parliament on Monday for refusing to even debate the matter in the House.
How come that the Speaker said the matter could not be debated on the floor of Parliament, but as soon as they walked out of the main chamber, the majority, led by the majority leader, held a press conference in which they endorsed the Fortis deal and described it as the best deal? Now, if debating it on the floor of Parliament was going to be prejudicial to a so-called court investigation, what do you call the press conference that the majority held?
Lawyers for Andrew Awuni have already filed an appeal in the case where an Accra Commercial Court ruled that he lacked locus to send the matter to court. Once the appeal process is successful, hearing into the substantive case will begin.
Meanwhile, the Trades Union Congress says it has uncovered some fresh damning information which has strengthened its resolve to challenge the controversial sale of Merchant Bank to Fortis Equity Fund in court. The TUC on Organised Labour, following a consultative meeting, are now set to file a suit at the Fast Track High Court here in Accra to try to reverse the sale. There are 4 representatives of Organised Labour on the SNET board that initially approved the 90 million cedi deal. Well, the SNET, as a body, as the majority shareholder, had approved a deal granting private equity firm Fortis a 90% stake in Merchant Bank. The Secretary General of the TUC, Kofi Asamoah, told the news team, although they were part of the SNET board that approved the deal, there are now fresh disclosures that make it impossible to stand by the sale. Kofi Asamoah said the decision to go to court was also strengthened by the fact that both the Bank of Ghana and SNIT were not prepared to meet organized labor to discuss concerns raised against the sale.
General Secretary of the NDC Johnson Asiedun Ketia has condemned what he describes as attempts by some persons to drag President Emmanuel into Merchant Bank sale saga. Briefing journalists, he indicated the president in no way influenced the granting of a loan to engineers and planners, one of the 25 leading defaulting companies belonging to the president's brother Ibrahim Mahama.
According to Asiedun Ketia, perceptions that the president had a hand in securing a loan from Merchant Bank for his brother's company, as well as influencing repayment, was flawed. Given a historical and family background, he recounted the president had limited influence back in 2007, the time the said loan was obtained. He explained Ibrahim Mahama rather had powerful relations with the then ruling party, the NPP.
The loan was granted in 2007. When President Mahama was a poor member of parliament in opposition. It is also known that when the mother of Ibrahim was alive, her closest friend was President Kufuor, John Ajekum Kufuor. Compare this grounding with the relationship between Mr. Ibrahim and President Mahama. If Mr. Ibrahim got the loan not through merit but through influence, who is more likely to have influenced the grant of that loan?
Mr. Asiedun Ketia indicated the sale of Merchant Bank to Fortis Equity Fund was a good thing since the company presented a better offer among competitors.
The terms and conditions of the Fortis deal are clearly different from what the first round was offering. First of all, the highlights. Fortis will pay 90 million down payment. In 6 months, they will add another 50 million. I believe that the Fortis deal is far, far superior to any offer that has been made available.
He commended the Speaker of Parliament for throwing out the opposition party's motion to investigate the sale.
Well, some drivers in Accra expressing worry at what they believe to be a possible hoarding of petroleum product till prices increase. According to them, the seeming fuel shortage in some parts of Accra is disturbing, and they called on the National Petroleum Authority to step in.
There were reports by some sections of the media over an increase in fuel price. But when Joy News visited some fuel stations in Accra, we realized there were no such thing. Drivers, however, complained of shortage of fuel in some parts of the capital, a situation they described as deliberate by managers of fuel stations.
It's only that from 3 days ago, most filling stations don't have fuel. When we go, they tell us there's no fuel. Then we go to another place. You find it difficult to get. But so far, I've not noticed any change in the price.
Baby, as one single filling station, no ton. And short in the GDs are short. Say, short, just on my hold. Because I'm so much to say, a very increasing fuel until be a hold. They don't want to sell it for us.
But some stations will have a commercial petrol in her. I don't know if it's especially 2 type filling stations. Also, money petrol. Private station back more petrol. But company is 2 type money petrol.
At the Aveno Shell in Accra, Quality Marshal Evans of Fosu AJ spoke to Joy News.
We are selling, just that we are having shortages 2 days ago. But by the grace of God, we've received one product, Super, this morning, and this also has come. So we are okay now.
Other fuel attendants who refused to speak on camera admitted they were directed by their managers to hold on sales till further notice. Public Relations Officer of the National Petroleum Authority, Yaro Kasambata, in a phone conversation said there were no increase in fuel prices, but his outfit will investigate why there are shortages at fuel stations. Matilda Pamaga for Joy News.
Senior economist at the Institute of Economic Affairs, Dr. John Kwachi, says the weak fundamentals of Ghana's economy is responsible for the frequent depreciation of the cedi. Ghana's, however, dependence on raw material exports and huge imports, according to Dr. Kwachi, is putting pressure on the economy.
The Bank of Ghana figures show the value of imports was unchanged at $14.7 billion for the first 10 months of 2013, while the value of merchandise exports also remained broadly unchanged at $11.4 billion compared to the same period last year. Earnings from gold fell by 12% to $4.2 billion, while exports of cocoa beans also declined by 33.5% to $1.3 billion, partly reflecting a decline in the prices of the commodities. Speaking on News Desk on Joy News, senior economist at IEA, Dr. John Kwachi, said there was a need for Ghana to diversify its economy and end its over-reliance on exports of raw materials.
The currency has been depreciating, all the time. We are able to stop it only for, short periods of time when maybe the Bank of Ghana is able to get into the market in a strong way. But the fundamentals of the economy are the factors that determine our exchange rate. And we have very weak fundamentals. If you look at our export base, for instance, we are still producing essentially these primary commodities. That's what we are selling. Cocoa, gold, timber. Now we have oil. These are primary commodities that do not fetch us a lot on the international markets. And then you go to the import side, and it seems that as a country we are importing virtually everything into this country because our industrial base is so weak, and therefore we don't manufacture or produce a lot of goods in this country. So there's always this wide gap between our import demand and then our export earning. That is what drives, causes the exchange rate to be depreciating on a constant basis.
He also called for the total diversification of the economy if the country is to earn more foreign exchange.
We must transform this economy in a very fundamental way, move away from this over-dependence on this so-called Gettysburg economy, colonial structure of the economy, and industrialize. And diversify the export base. So that's something that we need to take very seriously over the long term.
Talking about the economy, managers on the economy have been asked to prudently do their work for great economic fortunes for the year. They are also to provide a congenial atmosphere for industries to thrive and also create employment opportunities. Some economic watchers, though, have been speaking to the news team.
Ghana in the past year experienced some turbulent economic times following utility tariff hikes, tax increments, fiscal pressures, among others. But the Trades Union Congress blames the country's economic woes in 2013 to poor management of the economy.
In our view, we think the economy wasn't managed well in the level that it has really shown all its indicators rising. And it's our prayer that 2014 may be different, even though we know that given what happened in 2013, it's not going to be easy in 2014. We have really sent a word to all our members to really get themselves prepared, because we know definitely that we have a lot of struggles ahead of us. Yes, we are expecting that the managers of the economy will do more than they did in 2013, because if they don't do that, then it's going to be more challenging for us.
For the Ghana Chamber of Commerce and Industry, the economy will see a boost if the local private sector is supported.
I want to see government giving us an enabling environment If I say enable environment, government should be able to forecast and tell us that from now to June, maybe we'll have this price for fuel. As such, we can plan. Not that every 2 weeks or every 1 month we are changing prices left and right like that. We have this price for electricity, we can plan. We have this for water, we can plan. Now you can't plan. You have to do a template with a dollar component in place so that every now and then you are changing. It's not possible. It makes it very difficult. So government should give us that environment so that we know for the next 6 months, these are the rates we're going to use, so we can plan, prepare, import our raw materials and produce accordingly.
Creating an enabling environment for businesses to them is the surest way to sustained economic growth.
Generally, we know that the managers of the economy have a responsibility, government has a responsibility to ensure that it provides a congenial atmosphere for both industry and also all activities, to grow. That is the only way we can be able to deal with the huge unemployment that we have on our plates. It is indeed frightening, the level of unemployment, youth unemployment particularly, is so frightening, and that it portends great danger for our democratic dispensation and even great danger to life generally in the country.
If we have an economy which is being led by foreigners, then we have a challenge. Most of the manufacturing industries, we believe indigenous Ghanaians should take the lead, and that is where wealth will remain in Ghana. But if we leave everything into the hands of the foreigners, everything is transferred, nothing is achieved. So government should make conscious effort to support the indigenous Ghanaian, should make sure that they can give soft loans to people to be able to go into industry. Nobody will borrow at 38% and go into industry. We talk about EDI fund, we talk about venture capital and all these things. Government should put things together and say that even to this year, let's build 20 business people, whether he's NDC, MPP, CPP, or Shaba PP. Let's support business people. Business people have no political color. That is how we can get business people who are serious and will live and support the economy.
They, however, believe 2014 holds a lot of prospects, irrespective of the economic difficulties faced by the country in the past.
Ex-President Jerry John Rawlings says the corruption that went on under the NPP government and the Mills-led administration caused him sleepless nights. President Rawlings said the late President Mills' refusal to clean the system and deal with the crimes of the Kufuor administration when the NDC took power in 2008 was the beginning of the increased corruption.
He was addressing youth at the International Youth Fellowship Volta Regional Camp at Adidome in the Central Tong District. The former president said if the NDC fails to clean out the bad nuts in the system before 2016, winning the elections will be very tough.
NDC was the party of integrity. And if we do not restore that integrity, 2016 will be tough. Because we're on the same platform as the others. Ladies and gentlemen, we need to clean up. NPP needs to clean up. How can we encourage them to clean up so that if they ever come again, this country can get back on its rightful course? How can we clean up to make sure that we don't get kicked out in 2016?
The IYF is a Christian-based global organization formed with the objective of instilling hope and faith into the youth and developing leadership skills. It is also dedicated to spiritual, intellectual, and emotional growth of young patriots around the world. Former President Rawlings said corruption has eaten up society and there is a need to get rid of it.
When we won 2008 and took the country back, the country was so poised to see that injustices, the corruption and whatnot, dealt with in order to write the tree of justice. Mills refused to do it. Late Mills refused to do it. And that was the beginning of the true destruction of the moral fabric of this country. In spite of his holiness, his refusal to investigate and to deal with the crimes of the Kufuor regime is what led finally to the institutionalization of corruption in this country.
The Deputy Volta Regional Minister Francis Ganyaglo disclosed government's intention to establish job and enterprise centers across the country to reduce unemployment. He commended founders of the fellowship on the initiative in educating the youth.
Government will further ensure that other periodic educational clinical programs, such as the science, technology, mathematics, and innovation education, as well as the National Youth Achievers Award.
The camp also witnessed a series of talks and lectures on patriotism and volunteerism from high-profile citizens. Komlado's report for Joy News.
In other news, the Criminal Investigation Department of the Ashanti Regional Police Command have arrested 3 suspected car snatchers for snatching a Toyota RAV4. Well, the arrest was made in conjunction with the police at Katekrache in the Volta region. A report by Mahmoud Mohammed Nuruddin.
The suspects, Kwame Atakra, 31, Andrews Danso, 18, and Daniel Kwabna, 20, are all residents of Tabre and Ichimakufudia in the Ashanti region. According to the police, the suspect attending a one-week funeral celebration of a friend at Ichimakufudia conspired and armed themselves with locally made pistol, knife, and machete to rob the owner of the vehicle, Joyce Apiedu. At about 8 p.m. on November 22, 2013, the victim, on arrival at her residence, alighted from her car to open the main gate of the house. The suspects pounced on her and took her into a vehicle and drove off. On reaching Bonkanchi, the victim was thrown out of the vehicle and the suspects sped off. They managed to send the vehicle to Katekrache, where the number plate was changed to DV 90238 2013, as well as the color of the vehicle from the original ash to yellow. Kwame Atakra and his accomplices also visited a fuel station and took some fuel and sped off. Upon police investigation, Kwame Atakra was later arrested and subsequently assisted the police to apprehend Andrews Danso and Daniel Kwabna. Meanwhile, one of the car snatchers, whose name was given as Boama Emmanuel Esiedu, is currently at large. In a related development, the Asante Bekwai District Police Command has arrested 6 suspected armed robbers for terrorizing travelers and residents within the municipality and surrounding areas. Mahmoud Mohammed Nuruddin's report from the Ashanti region.
6-year-old Peter Atta, who defiled a 4-year-old girl, is now in the grips of the police and is scheduled to appear before court on Thursday, January 9th. Dodowa District Police Commander Superintendent Kofi Fori assured his outfit will push for a swifter punishment to serve as a deterrent to others. Etonam say has been following the story.
This is Peter Atta, a 60-year-old man married with 4 children. Peter is a native of Have Afiadenigba in the Volta region, but lives at Pobiman on the Accra-Nsawam Road. He has been in police custody for over 7 days as the Dodowa police prepares him for court on Thursday. Peter pleaded guilty to defiling a 4-year-old girl who was sleeping at a construction site where her grandmother left her to get ice water for her customers.
The suspect is lawfully in custody and will be appearing again in court, to answer charges of indecent assault.
The last time the news team visited the home of the 4-year-old on December 28, her grandmother was very apprehensive. She didn't want access to the child, but the police, against her wish, took the victim to the police hospital where she was thoroughly examined. The next day, December 29, when the police went back to check up on the victim, they were informed her grandmother had run away with her.
It is very sad. We put a lot of effort into this particular case. 1, the grandmom failed even to take the child to the hospital. Police, we are seriously looking for this woman because it is not appropriate for her to do so. We believe that she wanted to undermine justice, and that opportunity need not be granted at all. So go all length, to trace her wherever she finds herself.
So we decided to visit the victim's residence on Monday, January 7, 2014, to confirm whether she had indeed run away with the victim. It is unclear why a grandmother of a 4-year-old girl who has been defiled by a 60-year-old will abscond with the victim just when the police is preparing the accused to appear before court. The police say it suspects the grandmother had been given a lot more money or had been threatened by the accused family. However, Superintendent Kwesifori is confident the victim's absence will not deter the court from punishing Peter Atta.
We have other witnesses in the case. We have other witnesses. Before even the case came to the police, the man admitted the offense and even paid off. And those witnesses, we have some. And then when he came to the police station, also before an independent witness, he has admitted. So all these things are well documented, and we will struggle it out there in the court.
The police is, however, pleading with the general public to assist it in tracking the whereabouts of 48-year-old Alice Boahin, the grandmother of the victim. Joy News will keep following this story until justice is done. Etonamsi, Joy News.
A very pathetic story there. Please get interactive. We have the social network pages. Please search for a page on Facebook, Joy News on TV, and a WhatsApp platform is also available. It is 0544-334722. And as you get interactive, though, we would want to bring you our top headlines for the morning.
Trade Union Congress head to court to reverse the controversial sale of Merchant Bank to Fortis Equity Fund, as it says it has uncovered some fresh damning information about the sale.
There are reports of some fuel shortages in parts of Ghana's capital, Accra, as well as other regions close to the capital.
An economic analyst blames the weak economic fundamentals for the depreciation of the city.
We're taking a short break. When we come back, we have sports on the AM show. It is live on the Joy News channel of Multi TV. Do stay on, always.